What's up, everyone? Kyle here. I am super excited to share that my audiobook version of Travel Tips is up now. You can find it on Audible, Libro.fm, and anywhere else that you get your podcasts. Go check it out and buy a copy. It also has 30 minutes, a little over 30 minutes of bonus commentary that isn't in the actual book, so that's a little added bonus. But go check it out. I appreciate all the support, and I hope you guys enjoy the episode. Welcome, everyone, to this edition of Our Travel Experiences. I'm your host, Kyle Rasmussen, and today I'm continuing with my little tour of Southeast Asia that I took on my way to study abroad in Sydney, Australia, back in 2016. So, in episode 70, I talked about the first part of the trip. So, I went to Hong Kong and Taiwan, which was amazing. And then from Taiwan, I went to Singapore. I went to Malaysia first, and then Singapore. I went to Malaysia. I went to Kuala Lumpur, which is the capital area there, the big city in Malaysia, and I was there for a few days. It was a lot of fun. I got to I stayed in this really. I don't know how I got connected to this hotel, but I got to stay in a nice hotel. They upgraded me to like a very, very nice room on one of the top floors. So I had a great view over a lot of the city, and it was perfect. But anyways, so yeah, I did first I did a little walking tour, or no, the walking tour was later. Yeah, I forgot. I went on a private tour. I went to a few different spots there. Let's see. I went to like the National History Museum there, and a lot of great history. Some of it not so good. I got to see the Royal Palace and take a picture from the outside, which was great. You could see the guards standing there and everything. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to go in at all. And then I went to we went to like a memorial garden. It was actually kind of weird. They had a monument to the American soldiers who came and like helped fight in one of their wars years and years ago. And then they had a monument to all like their fallen soldiers and whatnot. And I'm trying to remember. This is a long time ago, and this was packed in the middle of all the other traveling I did, so it's hard to remember it. The next thing on that tour was, I went to Batu Caves, which is something that I think everyone has to see if they go to Malaysia. You go just outside the city to where these caves are, and you have to go up a whole bunch of stairs to get back into the caves. But at the base of the stairs, they got gift shops and everything. Definitely a touristy area. But they have this giant golden statue of one of the Hindu gods, and just pretty amazing to see. It's ginormous, and then you have to walk up all these stairs, and there's monkeys along the way. So you have to climb up all these stairs, avoid the monkeys if you can, and then you get back into the caves there, and they have some like shrines back there, some temples that you can pray at to the different gods. Really, really cool to see for sure, and I definitely recommend that to anyone who goes to Malaysia. And then from there I went to this was actually a really cool place where I learned a lot. It's called the Royal Selangor. So Royal Selangor, Selangor or something like that. But anyways, it is a pewter factory where they manufacture pewter into plates and mugs and all sorts of different things. Out front, they have the world's largest pewter tankard, which is ginormous. So I got to take a tour of the factory there, get to learn about how they, the whole process works and everything. So that was pretty cool to see. Um, it's amazing the amount of details that they can put into that for sure. But I got a couple souvenirs there. Definitely recommend that to anyone who goes to Malaysia. It was great for sure. And then from there went by the I believe it's called the Petronas Towers. They're the two really tall towers with the bridge that connects them in the middle, about halfway up. They're very tall. They definitely dominate the skyline, so you'll see them if you're there. uh, yeah, I drove by there, and then so then I did a food like walking tour kind of thing. So I got to try a bunch of different traditional dishes, a lot of rice and like chicken and with different spices and things like that. Had a few different like desserts that I have no idea what the names are, but they were good. Got to see all the like the flower, um, not wreaths, but like kind of similar to a wreath, but they're very intricate like flower arrangements that are meant to be hung up somewhere. But they're very beautiful. So I got to see that. Walk through like the Indian part of the city. So I had some Indian food as well, and yeah, tried a few different. Oh yeah, they had like a fried donut, which was amazing. Um, and that was I had to leave that tour early. Oh yeah, I had some white coffee while I was there, and then I had to leave that tour a little bit early to go on a different one. I got picked up and went to I don't remember the name of this correctly. I believe it's called. Let's see. So then, so I went to the capital, the actual capital of Malaysia, which is called Putrajaya, and it's literally just a town that they created just for all the government type of things. It's just outside of Kuala Lumpur. Um, but yeah, that acts as the capital. They got all the government buildings there. You got a good view of the man-made lake that they built there, which is kind of wild. And yeah, that was most of that. Yeah, so just checked out, learn the history about the buildings and everything, how Malaysia came to be what it is today. And then we went to the one of the biggest mosque there. I'm trying to remember the name of that. Beautiful, like salmon kind of rustic color, uh, pink, but a little bit rustic color to it. Absolutely beautiful. Um, Definitely recommend checking that out if you're there. Let me see if I can find it. Dang it. Let's see. I think it's Putra Mosque. Okay, yeah. So that's in Putrajaya, and yeah, got to go in there and see what that was all about. Very beautiful building for sure. And then yeah, that was pretty much it there. It was Malaysia was kind of I wouldn't say it was the easiest place to get around. It definitely took some work, and I'm glad that I did the tours that I did because it would have been really difficult to kind of make it all happen had I been on my own, or had I, tried to do it all myself. It was the sites to see were kind of spread out, and like I said, it was kind of hard to get around. It wasn't necessarily the best like transit system and things like that. So it was nice to have local guides to help out with all of that. But yeah, it was amazing. I know there was one thing I didn't get to do that I really wanted to while I was there. Is you can go out to there's a river just outside of town, You have to go over to the coast. I don't think it's not very far away. But you can see if you go at night, you can see like all the bugs, like lightning bug type of thing, light up the night and everything. Um, but I didn't get to do that. I didn't have enough time to make that happen, and it was far enough away that it would have been hard to plan. But yeah, a lot of great sights to see there. I'm definitely glad that I went and checked out Malaysia, and we'll have to go back and see other parts of it as well. So yeah, from Malaysia, I went to Singapore, and Singapore was absolutely incredible. I definitely enjoyed being there in Singapore. Um, it's a city state, so it's basically just one big city. It's not a very big country by any means, and yeah, it used to be. So I learned this at the History Museum in Malaysia, but Singapore used to be one of the like states of Malaysia. I think there's like 12 states in Malaysia. Singapore was the 13th, and yeah, they kind of had a revolution and broke apart from Malaysia, and so now Singapore is its own country for many years now. Um, well, I just saw on the map there's Legoland, Malaysia. Interesting. But anyways, yeah, Singapore was a really cool place. I definitely would want to go back and check out different parts of it because I feel like I didn't get to see necessarily all of it. But there's so much to see there for sure, and there's so much. It's such a hub of business in Southeast Asia. There's really quite a lot there, and the airport is one of the best airports in the world. Yeah, so I went to the National Orchid Garden there. Went to the Botanic Gardens. Lots of great. I did an awesome hike and walk through all of that. It's pretty big actually, and yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed walking through there. The flowers were beautiful. Lots of great things to see along the way there. Um, and then I kind of walked through town. I walked through the main like shopping street in Singapore. Um, yeah, walked through a lot of there. I went down to it is Gardens by the Bay, is what it's called, and they have these trees that at night they're all lit up and everything. If you've seen Crazy Rich Asians, the movie, that's where I was at, was where all those trees were that are lit up that they're walking through, as well as the hotel, the Marina Bay Sands, which is absolutely incredible. Highly recommend. I got to go to the Marina Bay Sands at night and look over the city from the rooftop. So there's a rooftop bar up there. That's have a swimming pool for the guests up there as well. But just stunning to see the city from that vantage point. You could see all the skyscraper buildings and just all lit up at night, and it was beautiful. Super fun to do that for sure. And then let's see. Yeah, I had a lot of good food there. I remember them having a lot of good food as well. I went to a temple there, which it was great to see, great to experience that. That was pretty much it. I didn't get much time. I only had basically like a day and a half, 2 days. Uh, but I got to walk through a lot of the city and just see a lot of cool sights. So yeah, definitely a good little introduction. Oh yeah, I walked through Chinatown as well. Yeah, definitely didn't get to see everything, so I would go back to Singapore for sure. And then yeah, from Singapore, I flew down to Jakarta, Indonesia, and that one was a wild one for sure. Uh, very it's very interesting going through Southeast Asia. Just totally something I was totally different than I was used to. Totally different from all the travels that I had done in the past, and so it was pretty wild to get to experience all the different places. And in each country in Southeast Asia is different from one another. They all are very different. I think it's hard to kind of lump them all together because they do have very different cultures across all of them. But yeah, Jakarta is a wild place. I'm so glad that I did tours when I was there. There's no way I would have made it around the city otherwise. Jakarta is chaos. From getting from the airport into the city, and then from there it just got crazier and crazier. Uh, Things are all over the place there, and there's so many people. And the driving laws are more of suggestions than anything, I would say. So it was pretty wild to get around. Again, super glad that I had tour guides to help me out. But I got to see so many great things. I went to I think it was the National History Museum there. A lot of great statues. Learned a lot about Indonesia, their history. Even in Indonesia, the cultures can vary pretty drastically, and there's such a unique place, and there's so many different areas of it with different types of feels to them. Jakarta was the big city of the country, but there's a lot of wilderness and just jungle out there as well. And Jakarta is so spread out. It's a very island nation with many islands across the country for sure. And then I went to so after the history museum there, we went by the National Monument, which is just a tall, pointy monument, and then went to one of the mosques there. So I got to see that, learn a little bit more about Islam and the Islamic culture in Southeast Asia. And that's the thing I kind of noticed, especially in Malaysia and Indonesia, is they were such melting pots of cultures. There's so many different people from all different backgrounds in those places. Very, very diverse in terms of, religion and things like that, which is quite interesting, I thought. And then let's see, I went to a Christian church there. I made it through the chaos of the streets. I remember crossing the street and just being absolutely terrified because there's cars going all over the place. It's 3-lane roads so like 3 lanes going one way, 3 lanes going the other way, but there's probably like 15 cars across and motorcycles weaving in and out. It was just insane. But got to walk through a little market, tried a few different foods, had this one fruit that was quite good. I don't remember what it was called, but it was kind of spiky and it was very good from what I remember. And then another tour I took was through like the Chinatown area. Lots of different temples through there. Very, very interesting to see. Very different from the rest of the city. And it was funny being there. I exchanged a little over $100. And I write about this in my book, but I just remember that was the first time that I like really experienced the difference in how much a dollar is worth, kind of thing. So I exchanged a little over $100 for my time there, and I got just over 1 million. I believe it's rupiah is their currency there. So I was a millionaire in Indonesia by exchanging about $100, and I thought that was pretty wild. In my first night there at the hotel, I bought a sandwich and like a Coke and I think one other thing, and it cost like 35,000 rupiah or something like that, which was, in the grand scheme of things, nothing. But it was just kind of wild to see that and just think about how different the economy is there and how different our money is worth compared to one another. I know at that time, back in 2016, they were really going through a lot of issues with their currency. And I remember both of the guides that I had saying that, yeah, they were having, a lot of inflation and things like that. That was really hurting them. I don't know if that's still the case. I would assume uh, they're, well, I know a lot of places around the world are having some issues right now, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like getting to learn about the money and the history and what's the current politics in the country and things like that are really interesting to learn. Um, I think it's a good way to understand why the culture is the way it is. Um, so yeah, that was Indonesia as well there, and yeah, from there I flew back to. I had to fly back to Singapore. It was kind of wild too because Singapore is just above the equator, and Jakarta sits just below the equator. Um, and so actually part of Indonesia is above the equator too. But I just thought it was kind of cool too because I'd never been in the southern hemisphere until I went to Jakarta, and so going going to the southern hemisphere and then having to go back and forth, it was, I don't know, it was kind of interesting to me. Not that really, not that important. But yeah, I had to fly back to Singapore, and then from Singapore I flew to Melbourne, and then from Melbourne onto Sydney to start my study abroad experience. So I don't think I've shared about Australia at all. So I will share about that in another episode for sure. I had an amazing time in Australia. I think it actually helped me have a better time in Australia to get to experience Southeast Asia first. It was fun taking that it was about 2 weeks altogether that I spent between Hong Kong, Taiwan, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, just kind of doing the travel life for a little bit. And then I got to move into my new home in downtown Sydney for the next 6 months, and got to experience so much from there too. But I feel like I definitely took advantage of the time I had uh, between those 6 months um, of traveling through Southeast Asia, Australia, in the Oceania region. There's so much to see. I know it's a long ways to get there from the U.S. especially, but there's a lot of great places out there to see, and I feel like if you can get a local guide in each of these places in Southeast Asia, I think it can really help you have a great experience, especially if you're not used to traveling in that part of the world, because it is very different from the U.S. Roads go every which way. There's not a lot of structure to the cities and whatnot. There's people everywhere. It's chaos, but it's a chaos that I think once you can get past that kind of initial, like, oh my gosh, this is insane, you get to see the really beautiful parts of it and understand that while it's chaos from the outside, that it's actually a very well-oiled machine that it looks like on the inside. So yeah, let me know if you've been to Southeast Asia. I know a lot of people have been to places like Vietnam, Thailand. Those are two places that I'm planning to get to soon. Um, I'd love to hear about your experiences in Southeast Asia, and let me know if you've gotten to do any of the same things that I have in the places that I've been. But yeah, that's episode 75, everyone. Can't believe it's 75 episodes, but it's been a lot of fun so far, and 25 episodes away. That's 6 months away from episode 100. So pretty fun to say. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy the rest of the week and keep traveling, and I will see you somewhere around the world soon. Hey everybody, Kyle here. If you enjoyed today's show and want more, you can always check out every episode on Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, and now Amazon Music as well. Just search for Our Travel Experiences on any of those platforms and it will pop up. You can also find everything all in one place on my website, ourtravelexp.com. And if you want to see my travel pictures as well as travel pictures from guests on the show, you can check them out on Instagram. The page is called Our Travel Experiences Podcast. And if you want to share your own pictures on the Instagram page or be a guest on the podcast, you can message me via that Instagram page or email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. I would love to see your pictures and hear about your travel experiences, so please send them my way. And if that isn't enough for you, make sure to check out my weekly YouTube show, From Around the World Fridays. Every Friday, I'm taking 5 to 10 minutes to answer questions from listeners, share some souvenirs that I bought over the years, share my postcards over the years that I've accumulated, or share videos and pictures from one particular city or country that I visited, and so much more. So check it out, guys. You won't be disappointed. And make sure you go subscribe to that as well. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you somewhere around the world soon.